This all started when the parents of Mercedes, Tiffany Coburn and Kenneth Lane, left their daughter in the hands of this man, Justin Miller, so they could have a break. When Mercedes wasn't returned home, they called police and the search was on. Days later, her little body was found here in Stark County. I had the opportunity to sit down with Mercedes' grandmother to better understand where things went wrong. It was here in Hamlet where Tiffany Coburn was born and raised.
She was really good in school.
She went to Oregon Davis and seemed to really like it.
As a child, she was energetic, fun-loving. She never wanted to do anything but read and write.
Tiffany's mom, Angela Owen, says as a kid she couldn't even get her to take Tylenol. But 6 or 7 years ago, that all changed.
She went from that to getting with some people that she shouldn't have been with, and things turned wrong.
Angela says methamphetamine is Tiffany's drug of choice, and you could always tell when she was using.
She distanced herself when she's using. She doesn't call that much. She doesn't check in. She's a total different person when she's using.
How easy is it to buy meth?
Fairly easy.
Sergeant Graber supervises the drug unit at the South Bend Police Department and works closely with surrounding agencies on drug investigations. Excluding marijuana, he says we're seeing 3 main drugs in Michiana: fentanyl, heroin, and a whole lot of meth.
We get a lot of through traffic because of the interstate that goes through us. We're kind of halfway between Detroit, Chicago, and Indianapolis. It's not uncommon for us to see plates from Warsaw or as far as Kokomo coming here to get drugs.
But where is it all coming from? Sergeant Graber says they're seeing a lot of meth coming from across the border. Down south, it's being brought up here to South Bend.
A lot of it's changed because of laws that they've changed as far as making it more difficult for the people to get the drugs, get the Sudafed to be able to make the product. So you can't just go buy 10 boxes of Sudafed.
Tiffany's family describes her struggle with sobriety as a roller coaster ride, affecting everyone, including her 4 kids.
She's been through a lot of the substance abuse with Tiffany.
The oldest is 11 years old.
The ups and downs of her gonna tell her she's gonna get clean and then not get clean.
Then there's her 3-year-old, who Angela says was born addicted to meth. She struggled with health and development issues.
Probably about 2 years old, she had this thing called shudder syndrome from the meth abuse. And it was like I would describe it as a seizure, because she just shook real hard and like she would zone out and then she would come back.
Angela says her 2-year-old doesn't even know her mom, but 11-month-old Mercedes lived with her here at the Economy Inn in Plymouth, a small space described by her family as an extreme hoarder situation. And while they say Mercedes was always fed, read to, and allowed to watch her favorite show, Trolls, they say she was always dirty, smelly, and seemed to cry a lot, leading them to believe she was having withdrawals from meth exposure.
Tiffany was so messed up when she's come missing that Tiffany didn't even tell me that they had called to make a missing child report on her, because she was so high she was afraid to call me.
Ultimately, this way of life would lead to the death of this beautiful little girl.
To have the FBI roll up in your yard and tell you that they found your granddaughter deceased is heartbreaking.
Today, Angela wants justice for Mercedes, and she wants more people to understand the effects of substance abuse, more specifically, meth. She wants more resources in our community and wants more people to know about the resources we already have. But what she wants most of all? Her daughter, Tiffany, to finally be clean.
I guess I do blame her. But I love her, and she knows, she knows how I feel. I've told her, if this isn't rock bottom for you, this is rock bottom for us. This is rock bottom for us. This is as bad as it could get. And if you can't see that, then I'm sorry. But I have 3 other children that we have to worry about.
So what makes drugs so appealing? What keeps bringing you back? How do you get to that point where you're choosing drugs over your kids? To better understand, I sat down with 2 recovering addicts, one a mom, the other a former meth dealer. Drugs, they spark curiosity. There are so many different kinds. They come in all shapes and sizes and have different effects on your body.
I felt like Superwoman. I could stay up for days. I could do anything. Like, I was able to manage a house, a relationship, a job. I was still going to school. Like, it gives you the illusion that you're perfect.
Anissa Berkey only had to try meth once and she was hooked. In fact, she liked it so much she started making it and selling it.
Why would I go spend my money when I could make it and earn money? The demand was so crazy. You realize that addiction does not discriminate. Like, I have supplied doctors, lawyers, parents, teachers.
When Molly Rowe was introduced to a form of meth called crank, she had lost the most important person in her life, her grandmother, and was looking for something to numb the pain.
No thought in my mind that this probably isn't a good idea. So we smoked it off of foil. We did it. I was awake for 2 weeks, and then from then on, that was it.
Hooked after just one time.
And then within 2 weeks, I was doing it every day.
But what could go wrong? Turns out, just about everything.
Within 8 months, I had no money, no apartment. My son was living with my mom. I was fully addicted to drugs. I wanted to kill myself because I didn't want to be in that life anymore.
That's when Molly got clean. Within 30 days, she got pregnant with her daughter and was clean until she was about 2 months old.
I fell right back into meth. And this time, it came on stronger than it did the first time.
There's been times where we've supplied people with stuff for free just to keep them going. Here, take this. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just keep coming back. Because as long as you're coming back, I'm safe.
Molly says her addiction was so strong, she started stealing from her family.
It's not right by any means, but I didn't know another way because I needed that. My body and my mind needed that drug so bad that I didn't know how not to go without it.
What started as a choice quickly turned into a nightmare.
Addiction lies to you in your own voice. So the thoughts that are in your head and they're saying, you can't live without me. You can't survive without this. You're nothing without drugs.
There were so many times where I would be sitting on the bathroom floor with drugs in my hand, crying, like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I have to.
I was literally going through life like in a fog. Like, I didn't have any feelings. I couldn't get happy. I couldn't get sad. I couldn't get nothing. It had made me so numb that I could literally just walk through life and not care about a thing.
Molly was so miserable that if dying meant she could finally get out, she was okay with that.
It breaks my heart. Because how selfish is that? I have kids. I have a family. Sorry. It's not that I didn't love my kids or my family. It's by no means that I didn't think that they were worth it, because if anything, I thought they were better off without me because I couldn't be healthy, because I couldn't say no to the drugs and yes to them.
Anissa felt the same way.
I remember just feeling so trapped, like, this is life now. Like, I don't know how to get out. Is there a way out? Jail or death were my only options in my mind back then.
Turns out, jail and the rehab programs offered inside is what got both of them clean. And today, sobriety remains their #1 priority. Anissa has been clean for 12 years. Molly has been clean for 3.5. But with recovery brings a whole lot of clarity.
So was I really functioning as someone that was supportive and someone that was there? No. I was physically there, and that's great, I guess. They could see me, but I wasn't mentally there at all.
And guilt. Do you sit here and think, I made the substance that is responsible for not providing that child the care that they need?
Yeah. Yeah.
Addiction is more complex than we may think. What starts as a "I'm just going to do it one time" quickly and unexpectedly turns into a constant inner battle that ultimately affects everyone around us. But is there a way to stop it? I sat down with two individuals who say they're going to try. One, a former addict, the other, a teen who is now growing up without his father.
He was going to do his one last time, and he went up and sat on this tree, and it had fentanyl in it, and it was way more than he thought. And he overdosed.
14-year-old Gabriel Sikowski says his dad, Brandon, had been in and out of prison his whole life. But it was 4 years ago when he finally realized he was struggling with something.
I didn't really understand much at the time. I just knew, oh no, that's bad, and how long is he going to be gone for?
Turns out, Brandon was struggling with sobriety, that tug of war between using and getting clean. It was that struggle that brought him here.
I don't know, I can't say. Maybe just like the withdrawal, because he was still going through that, and maybe just like that one last time before I stopped.
Brandon was supposed to check into rehab 3 hours later. This time, it was supposed to work. He never made it.
Our overdose numbers are increasing at rapid rates.
Alicia Wells knows the dangers firsthand. Her sobriety is a motivation to help others with addiction treatment and recovery. She calls the drug use in Michiana an epidemic.
We're very much in an epidemic, and we're getting ready to enter a larger epidemic with the fentanyl that we're seeing. Substance abuse doesn't discriminate. Many people of all walks of life are using substances to cope with mental health issues, mental health crises, just daily life. But we are seeing the drugs being used from as young as 5th grade all the way up into geriatric years.
She says now is a time to speak out as a community, saying enough is enough.
This is not a case of being a snitch. If you see something, say something. These are our children. They need to be protected. And when there was no joke when they say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to save children too. And we need to be more responsible, and we need to be transparent in the things that we're seeing and not afraid of what other people are going to think, because it's not about that.
It's about saving lives, and Recover Michiana is now offering something that no one in our area has offered before. Scholarships to kids like Gabe who've lost parents to an overdose, giving them the opportunity to go to college or a trade school. The goal? To help break this cycle.
It's something new, it's innovative, it's different, it's a different approach. In our community, that's what we are all about. People have been talking the talk and wanting to do things for a long time, and it's taking new, innovative approaches to creating and combating the substance abuse disorder and this epidemic that we have.
And less than 2 months after the death of his father, Gabe is doing his part to speak out and educate others. Just a couple weeks ago, he told his story at a fundraiser for a local treatment center. A couple days after that, he stood in front of his peers to talk about drugs and overdoses.
Even my teacher said, you know, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I know that's hard to say so soon, but, you know, I would rather give all of, you know, the students the information that I want to give them. They might not have the same fate my dad did, that none of them even try it.
What we're dealing with is not going to go away without action. We all have to work together for this. This can't be something that you think doesn't affect you. It may not affect you yet. It's affecting our neighbors, our friends, our church members, our coworkers, and it's all of our responsibility to stay educated on what's happening and not be afraid of what we're hearing, but rise up to do something different and not be afraid to know what resources to give. It may not be you, but it may be somebody you love someday.